sort of vaguely remember sitting down at home and thinking, what should I do now? And I thought, I wonder if I could get paid to do what I really love to do. And that is speaking, presenting, training, whatever. I just love helping people, and I'm pretty good up front, I think. So I just kind of got into it, and I found out you could get paid and you could build a business around it.
Amos Madra.
Lee Jackson, a very warm welcome to you. A man who has been in the company of the Dalai Lama, as well as followed by Barack Obama on Twitter. How are you?
Am I? I don't know.
Yeah, President Obama follows you on your Twitter page. Yeah.
I better sort myself out then, Amos, don't I? I didn't realise that. There you go.
So how did that come about then? Did he watch one of your talks, or what happened there?
Oh, gosh. I genuinely have no idea. I didn't even know that was a thing.
You didn't? Wow.
No, I didn't.
Is this
I guess
the first you're hearing about it?
Yeah, I guess I didn't check it. So is it the real, or is it a spam account?
No. It's the real Obama. I follow Obama.
Oh, right. Well,
on my Twitter page, it says Obama follows you too.
Oh, right. Wow. I'm impressed. I have listened to his podcasts and his interviews. Maybe I tagged him in. He did a great podcast with recently with what's his name, the musician guy, and it was brilliant.
Is it John Legend?
No, not John. Oh man,
we'll be here for we're scratching our heads all day.
So yeah, he does produce some really good content, and I like the way that he was. He's very relaxed for someone who used to run the world. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I like that about him.
It might be the basketball connection because you're both huge basketball fans.
Yes, indeed. Yeah, I have been most of my life. Since I was about 18, I really got into basketball, and at a point where in the UK, you just couldn't get any NBA. You just had to wait for a newspaper to come out.
Yeah.
Or you would have to get videos shipped from the US to view them. That's how long ago that was. And but yeah, always in the late 80s and 90s became a big fan of the New York Knicks at the time with Patrick Ewing and John Starks and all of those legends. And just before lockdown, just before the pandemic, we got to Madison Square Garden to see a game. We got pre-court tickets, got there in early, met Alan Houston, one of the ex-players, must have met a few people. It was wonderful.
Oh, yes.
It was
Remember
a dream come true, Amos, a dream come true.
Down the Latrell's Sprewell days.
Yeah, he was such a great player. Yeah. It's a little bit streaky, though, as we say in the business, a bit streaky.
Yeah, I mean, a great guard, slashing player, and he can cut in and do all sorts of stuff. But we're not here to talk Alan Houston. We're here to talk Lee Jackson. So, Mr. Jackson, who are you? What do you do? Tell us about yourself.
Yeah. Well, thanks, Amos. So I live in Leeds in Yorkshire, and for the last 14 years, I've been a motivational speaker and a presentation coach. So that's my job in a nutshell. I say to people that I'm either on stage doing motivational talks, helping people to get good in challenging times, or I'm off the stage teaching other people how to be on a stage, which I quite enjoy that, actually. So I like the mix of working with big audiences, or at least when we could, working with big audiences. I've spoken to, back in the days and I was in a band, I've done thousands of people, 10,000 people at the arenas and stuff. But even big events, 200, 2,000 people, I love those events. I love being a speaker at a big event, but also like the smaller stuff of just coaching and helping people to be better and to get, I guess to get through some of their issues, some of their confidence problems. Because what I learned early on when people asked me to do presentation coaching, and I wrote a book called Get Good at Presenting, is I realized that, of course, all of that stuff is about how you feel about yourself. It's about your self-esteem, Amos. It's about the confidence you have, And I just love watching people grow and helping them, So.
Absolutely. And that comes across in your content. And I think you're somebody who's embraced technology. You've used it in a really creative way. And part of your presentation is about, making PowerPoint presentations not boring. Talk to us about that. How did that come about? Doing PowerPoint presentations with businesses and showing them different ways to connect.
Yeah, well, a few years ago, I wrote a book. I'll get the book for you, and I just called PowerPoint Surgery. It's now renamed as Get Good at Slides. And I spent 5 years. This is going to sound really boring, so don't shout at me, Amos. I spent 5 years researching how to use PowerPoint so it helps and not hinders your presentation. So I don't major massively on that now, but I do it as part of my work, because what I find is that people do weird stuff, like they add every single word that they're going to say on a slide instead of understanding what a slide is. And that is when you're presenting, whether it's on Zoom or online or whether you're in person, a slide basically is a backdrop to what you're presenting. So it shouldn't be exactly what you're presenting. It should be more like a billboard, like a backdrop, and just behind yourself, you've got posters and kind of backdrop stuff. That is how it should be. There should be stuff behind you that reinforces your message. And that's usually photographs or pictures and stuff, rather than lots of text. So in a nutshell, use more photographs and use as little text as possible. That makes a big difference, Amos, I think.
And is it knowing your content as well, I suppose, isn't it? So that you've got that confidence to be able to talk about your particular message, to put it out there, I suppose. Yeah. So, talk to us, how did this all start? How did you become the person you are? Was this generational, or did you just have an epiphany one day?
Well, I had some boring jobs when I was in my early 20s, like most people do. I was doing boring admin jobs. I used to work in the Crown Court and the County Court, so really quite boring jobs. I loved the people, but hated the job. And then I did a year out, and I took a year out and did some training. I literally left my job and took a year out. While I was away, I was offered a role to start a youth work charity. And I basically did a youth work charity, and that was based in schools. And so pretty much that first week of when I went to see the first head teacher, he took me into an assembly hall, and there was 600 teenagers looking at me, and he was like, right, go and speak to that lot for 10 minutes, Lee. And so on those first few weeks, I suddenly had this trial by fire where I realized that a lot of my job is going to be presenting to reluctant audiences. And even when that came to an end after 14 years, I sat down. I sort of vaguely remember sitting down at home and thinking, what should I do now? And I thought, I wonder if I could get paid to do what I really love to do. And that is speaking, presenting, training, whatever. I just love helping people, and I'm pretty good up front, I think. So I just kind of got into it, and I found out you could get paid and you could build a business around it, and I'm no financial superstar. I'm not a rich person, but I've managed to make a business out of speaking and helping people. And I'm really pleased about that, because it has its stresses, but I'm really privileged to say that I probably do what I'm best at,
Yeah. On your website, you say that, you're not a celebrity. You've not played a nose flute while skydiving. I like that one. And, your sort of presentation is just purely out of love and what you enjoy to do. I think what you're doing, and what you've been doing for a very long time, is what a lot of people since the pandemic have just decided, right, this is it, I need to do it now. But you had that realization a long time ago, that self-awareness. At that time when you were taking that leap of faith and going at it alone, did you have any misjudgments, or did you feel maybe that, you're punching above your weight here, or you're doing something that, any doubts? Did you have any fears?
Oh, man. Yeah, I was absolutely racked with doubt, Amos, at times. I started my business. I said, right, I'm a speaker, and I don't use the word trainer because I would call myself a speaker who does training rather than a trainer who speaks, if you see what I mean. Anyway, because I'm definitely good with big crowds. And so I started my business, and then the credit crunch hit. The last real recession that we've had before the pandemic, and all of a sudden it was like everybody stopped any training, any events, because the quickest thing to kill when you've got no money is external events. So for about 18 months, I did loads of networking. I was going around telling people what I could do, how I could help them. And I earned about £4.50 in that first 18 months, because no one was buying, Amos. No one was doing stuff, and I was new to it. So I got racked with doubt, I think, at those times. My dad passed away as well. So there was a lot of stuff going on personally. And I think, I think it was pretty tough for a while. And then over time, with help and support, particularly from the Professional Speaking Association that I've been president of, just meeting people who do the same job as me and realizing that my weird world is also someone else's weird world. I suddenly realized that I could be myself. I suddenly realized that I can carve out a bit of a niche, got into some new contacts, and actually started to sort of make a living out of it, really. But it's tough times, challenging times, and a bit of imposter complex all in there as well,
Yeah, I can imagine the difficulties that you must have faced, and then of course, the sadness news of your dad passing away. All that would have taken its toll. But you spoke earlier about mindset. Would you say mindset played a big part in you getting through? And talk to us about that journey in terms of convincing yourself that you can do this despite that £4 that you might have earned at that time.
Yeah, I think, mindset is such a big thing to talk about. We could talk about it for hours and hours, but I'm very aware that really, if you want to be successful at anything, and I mean anything from from playing basketball, playing tiddlywinks, business success, it's always about habits, routines, and disciplines. And you can dress things up to be all sorts of different things, but really that's what makes the difference. What habits do we have? What routines do we use? What disciplines do we have on ourselves? And I think that a massive part of that is understanding our mind and getting into the right place. Speaking to ourselves. Some of your listeners will know about self-talk. Self-talk is the conversation that's going on in your head, just behind your consciousness. For some people, it's you're no good, you'll never be anything, no one ever loves you, really negative stuff. And it tends to sometimes be negative. But we can replace some of that stuff with, I can do this, or I've got friends who love me and my family loves me. You can start to replace some of that negative self-talk. And that in itself is a habit that you have to sort of work on your own brain. And I'm sure and your listeners will know, Amos, that maybe we all have people who've had real struggles with stuff in life, and they sort of seem to think that life happens to them, and they never take responsibility that they could change something about life. And I certainly I've seen that in my own life and in family and friends, how some people can, as my good friend Paul McGee says, can play the victim rather than actually saying, you can actually change your habits and your disciplines, and you can get through this stuff. It's a really complicated subject, but I wish people would look after their own mental health and find easy ways to keep going, to stay resilient, and easy ways of just learning to love themselves and accept love from others, and also maybe find a purpose as well. That's a big one,
How can you find a purpose? Do you discover it, or how does it happen?
Oh, great question. Yeah, well, there's bigger things involved. I mean, I'm certainly a person, I have a faith as well, and my faith has a big part to play in that. as a Christian guy, my faith gives me a lot of purpose. But even beyond that, I really believe that when I talk to younger people sometimes, whether it's, sixth formers or people in their 20s, one of the things I love to encourage them to do is to try lots of things out. People say, I don't know what I'm going to do for the rest of my life. I was like, I hadn't got a clue really. But, you can all go and work in a bar for a few weeks. Is that something that you love? Go and work in an office, go and work, try different things out and look for your purpose. And what is it that you do? So here's one of the keys that I love is, what is it that you do when time passes quickly? Because then you may have found something of your purpose. When you do something and time passes quickly, you think, oh, actually, I haven't noticed that. Rather than, we've all been in jobs where we're looking at the clock, where we're waiting, we're going, only 7 minutes left, only 7 minutes left. And we all have those jobs. And I understand those tensions, but if we can find what we're good at, and if someone will pay us for what we're good at, then that is certainly a sweet spot, Amos, I think.
Absolutely. There, Lee, you spoke about your faith, you spoke about purpose, intention. Where do you find your foundation? And you are very self-aware. When did you discover that, and where can we find that in ourselves?
Oh gosh, wow. You're asking some big questions today, Amos. I love it, man. I love it. Oh gosh. Well, I think quite a lot of people are self-aware, but I think we can have a negative self-awareness. We can be aware of all the wrong things that we do, whereas we need to have a healthy self-awareness. And I think that is part of my journey of finding that healthy self-awareness, that, and the awareness that I'm a good presenter, I'm a good speaker, I'm good at corralling audiences. I'm aware that I am good at being with reluctant audiences. That's one of my specialties. So put me in a group that's really grumpy, and I really like that, but it takes you a bit of awareness, and it takes you a bit of journey and a bit of experience to find that out. And sure, yeah, I think there's elements of my faith that has that, but also it's about learning. How many books have you read? How many audio books have you listened to? When I'm doing jobs maybe around the house, and I'm fixing things or sorting things out or cleaning or whatever, I'll be listening to a podcast. I've got an attitude of learning. I'm not a complete article. I've come a long way, sure, but I've still got a long way to go, Amos. And I think part of that is knowing that I need to learn, and I need to be aware of who I am as well. And yeah, so finding good teachers is good. So I listen to quite a lot of teachers, some YouTube stuff. There's some terrible stuff out there. Find the good stuff, and some great podcasts. And now, of course, I've subscribed to your podcast, mate, as well. So
thank you very much indeed. Like you said, it's a constant pruning. It's a constant feeding the mind of the right things, because of course it can happen in the other direction as well, but it's just choosing what you want, whether you want to have positivity in your life or whether you want to have negativity. They're both the same tools in practice, but it's just applying that in your own life. You spoke about writing books. Is it 12 books you've written?
Yeah, I've written 12. I'm just working on my 13th at the moment, which is called Get Good at Work, and that's tips for the workplace. So that's part of one of my talks that I do. But yeah, I've written 12. So, and the one that's probably sold the most is Get Good at Presenting. And that is like pretty much everything I know about presenting in 38,000 words. It's a book that you can dip in and out of. It just helps people to be more confident. And I've written this in a really down-to-earth way. It's not complicated. I'm all about anything that I've learned. I always say to people, anything I've learned, you can have it. Do you know what I mean? So anything I've learned, I'll give it away. There's no I really don't like that kind of stuff where, 12 secrets to this and, subscribe here for 13 secrets to, I'm just like, it's fine. You can have it. Yeah. You can have it, man. You know what I mean? Yeah. Whatever I've got, you can have it. But so I enjoy writing. but I'm not. I'm not sure I'm a natural writer, but I do quite enjoy it when I get into it. But I'll let you into a secret, Amos. I dictate quite a lot of my books.
Ooh, well, you've answered my next question. Carry on.
So I kind of because this was a book about presenting, so get good at presenting. This was dictated. So I'm in my office here, in my home office kind of thing, and I basically went round with my phone and walked around the office for a couple of days. Honestly, it's very sad, isn't it? Walked around my office for a couple of days and dictated the book. And then someone transcribed it for me. You could do it automatically, but I think I got someone to do it. And then I edited it like 100 times, because when because the spoken word is different to the written word, people don't understand that, which is why you should never write down a speech, because if you write a speech, it's in the written word, it's not in the spoken word. So what I do is I then edit it a little bit. But what people have given me loads of feedback on is the fact that it's in my books, it sounds like I'm speaking to them. And I literally am speaking to them. And but you've got to sort out the grammar and the punctuation and that stuff. So, yeah, but for me, it was like sitting down with a blank page on my laptop is not going to do it for me. I've got to find ways to be creative, really, So, have you written any books, Amos?
No. I'm just inspired by listening to, you talking about your process and how you go about doing it. It's so inspirational, and it's just so good hearing that, because I think for some people who are just not natural, that sort of thing, to sit down and on hours on end, put pen to paper, itchy feet to go do something else, dictating into your phone absolutely makes sense. And if someone can transcribe it, even better. Yeah. So, there is ways about, to go about doing that, which is really interesting. And of course, you've got a new book coming out as well soon. When can we expect that?
Well, it's not written yet, so I'm still need to get on and do it. But that'll come out in the spring of 2022, next year. So that'll be out in the spring. So hopefully that'll be done, and that'll go out on all formats once I've written it properly. I've actually kind of already written it, but it's in articles and blogs and things that I've posted. So what I do is I gather everything together, and then I get rid of loads of stuff and then edit it all again. So this one's slightly different. I won't dictate this one because I've already kind of written it.
Yeah.
I'll just have to do lots of editing. But a little tip, if any of your listeners are interested in writing a book, my friend said there was a very famous author was on the radio, and someone rang in and they said, dear Mr. blah, blah, blah. He says, I'm really on the fence about writing a book. And the author said, well, let me give you the best tip I can get. Get off the fence is the best. I love that. It's really simple. It's really simple. And you just got to find ways of doing it. And whether that's using an app on your phone, or whether that's, getting someone to dictate it, or it can do it. You can easily write a book in a few weeks or a few months if you really want to. You've just got to cut out your other distractions, really, Yeah,
and that's it. It's focus as well, isn't it? Just putting focus in the right place. Yeah. You've got so many things going on. You obviously you're doing the talks. You're doing it remotely. You're doing it virtually. You're doing all sorts of different other things. You've got the books going on. How do you fit everything in? How do you find that time to be the calm person that you are, yet at the same time get all these things done?
I'm not always calm, Amos, just to clarify. I'm not the almighty, you know what I mean? I'm not always calm. I'm sometimes a bit stressed, but like at the moment, at this time we're recording this, it's on the run up to Christmas. And right now there's quite a few things going on, but I've dealt with them over the last few weeks, and I'm actually spending time relaxing now. I'm actually spending time doing different things, writing my book a bit. I've got rid of no one wants to hear from a speaker near Christmas, right? They're not interested because it's Christmas party time. So actually what I'm doing is I'm just literally laying things down, because one of the things that I've learned, and I'll take some proper time off, a winter break, a Christmas break. What I've learned is that a little phrase from my new book is that rest is a weapon. Rest is a weapon that we can use in the fight that we're all in. And people think you should always keep on going. You should be fighting and striving and keeping on going, when actually one of the best things we can do is be confident enough in our own ability to go, do you know what? I need to rest now. And in fact, you only contacted me this morning. We're recording this afternoon. And the only reason why is because I had a free afternoon. And I thought, you know what, let's have some fun. Let's do a little interview. And so this isn't pushed in. It's literally because my diary is emptying. Yeah. And it's doing that because I've emptied it myself. You know what I mean? Yeah. So yeah, rest is very underrated, Amos. Very underrated.
No, you're right. Absolutely right there. You know, you can't pour from an empty cup. You know, you definitely need rest. And I know you don't like these lists of 10 things to do, but normally when you see those lists where they're talking about how to help yourself, the first thing that they normally put up there is rest. You know, get a good night's sleep, make sure you're well rested, and then on that you can build everything else. So, you know, rest is not a treatment. It's not. It's not. Well, it is a treatment, but it's not. It's not something that we should feel we do just on and off. It's something that has to be part of who we are, and if we don't rest, then we can't give more of who we are. So fantastic advice there. Thank you for that. But you're certainly a person of action. You're very action orientated. You're very much a go-getter, and I think you're somebody who just takes immediate action. As soon as you see that there is something to get done, you just do it. You know.
Well, I think, yeah, it's a good question. I could write about this. It's a really interesting point you're making. Yeah. I guess I am in ways. People sometimes would think I'm very focused on certain things, but I'm also restful. So I'm not someone who drives all the time, because what I think is we've got to get that balance between action and rest. And that, weirdly, that balance is, if we rest well, we can action more effectively and we can action better, but we come from a place of rest, right? So I live in an area with quite a lot of Jewish people near where I live. So I've got a lot of friends that are Jewish. And of course, they really do have the Sabbath. They really do rest between sunset on Friday and sunset on Saturday. And I think we can learn so much from the Jewish community, because most of them, if they're proper following Jews, you know, if they're observant Jews, they will really genuinely rest. And what I heard from a few years ago from someone is that the way they see it is their rest fuels the rest of the week. I thought, oh, yeah, I like that.
Yeah.
There's a lot of stressed out people right now, Amos, isn't there? You know, and some people think they've got to be on it 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. They're on their phone. They never switch their phone off. They never, you know, rest is a weapon, you know.
Yeah, I absolutely agree with you there. Speaking of rest, yesterday, I switched my phone off by 8 o'clock. I was in bed, and that was it.
Right. Well, if that's what you needed, that's what you needed.
Yeah,
right?
I woke up fresh, you know, feeling energized, ready for the day ahead. So it has definitely its values, and it's something that I truly believe in as well. And I'm glad that you shared that with us here today. So thank you kindly for sharing that with us, Lee. So we know the book's coming out. We know that, you know, there's 2022 is going to be a busy year for you. How can we learn more about what you're doing, and how can we connect with you?
Sure, yeah. Well, you can contact me. You can follow me on Twitter. It's just Lee Jackson, LW Jackson. You can just follow me on there. I'll keep up to date there. You can find me on LinkedIn. Just type in Lee Jackson Speaker. Or my website is leejackson.org. Very simple, leejackson.org. And you can follow me there, and all the social links are there. And yeah, so when the book comes out, you'll find out about that. And always love to connect. And, you know, sometimes I kind of want to give up on things like Twitter. And then I realize I meet someone like you, Amos, and I think maybe it's worth it, you know, maybe it's worth staying connected. You know what I mean? So
absolutely, especially if you're being followed by Obama. So for anyone watching, listening, and you type in Lee Jackson, just check the one that's being followed by President Obama. That's our Lee Jackson.
Wow. There you go. I had no idea. I must I must send him a Christmas card or something. I don't know.
Well, there's certainly something that you're doing, and it's, you know, who you are. Lee, we celebrate you for who you are. You're an incredible gentleman, very inspirational. I love your energy and I love everything that you do. You keep it very simple, but yet at the same time, you are very effective at what you do. And I just want to say a huge thank you for giving up your time this afternoon to spend here with us today. Thank you.
Thanks, Amos. Bless you. It's really been really good to chat, mate. I wish you the best with your show.
Thank you. If you want some amazing inspiration, check out the videos next to me, and I'll see you right there.